should I try to do like a real live intro? Like a welcome back to Camp Time is Real Time. I'm your host, Sarah LeBrecq, here this week with Brittany Macleod. We are talking about camp and all of the favorite walkways and routes when it's the dead of winter and it gets dark at 3:00 and you think back to camp, the like physical place itself, you can kind of picture so many different places to walk through. And it got me to thinking, I was like, oh my God, like each path is kind of distinct. And that's why when we were texting like a month ago and you were like, no, I totally do. I was like, oh, she's on the same wave as me. So we need to talk about this.
Yes.
But yeah, so no one better than Brittany Macleod to do that. So how's it going, Brett?
Good.
I don't know. I'll edit it all out. But I do want to hear before we get on those. So you are a teacher now, as are so many of the very best counselors who ever worked at camp. So how do you haven't been there for quite some time, but does camp find its way into your everyday life? Like, how do you incorporate that? Should it come up?
Every day. I have so many things to share, and most of them are just from the last 3 days.
Lay it on me. That's amazing.
Super relevant.
Yeah.
The first thing is so I'm in second grade this year. My class, normally, I'm sure your kids probably do this now, they add lots of brain breaks and movement breaks.
Sure.
And my class wasn't really into the movement breaks, but they were really, whenever I would, like have a song stuck in my head or someone else did, everyone would start singing. I'm like, oh, the people want to sing. So I just started singing with them, and all of our transitions are like sing-songy. The first thing that happened, one day I got wicked flustered and I was like, this is a repeat after me song. And they participated. They kind of looked at each other, and the kids that knew and got it, they were like, this is a repeat after me song.
No
And
way.
then we just sang the Princess Pat. And then because it had motions too, even like the kids that are nervous and don't want to sing, they might still do the motions, and same thing with like the green grass, even the kids that don't want to go, they'll be like,
yeah, still growing.
putting the green grass all around. So
that's awesome.
yeah. And then the fun part is it's actually been really a big part of our class community. So then I've noticed that, all the educational language, they identify with that now. So when a new person will come into the room, new being anyone that hasn't been in our class in the last 5 minutes,
Right.
Could be someone they know, they'll be like, oh, Mrs. Gambardella, you should teach the green grass. And they'll be like, let's do it. And then they want to go to the carpet. They want to be together. And then, sometimes you're improvising, you're adding things, whatever. And they start correcting me. They're like, you said limb, but it's branch. And why are you doing that first?
like, hold on. It makes you wonder. So Tom, also a teacher his whole career, seems like maybe he knew, maybe there was a reason sing is the glue that keeps camp together, right?
Yeah. So we're upping the ante a little bit because they love to sing.
Yeah.
We have how school is, I guess sort of similarly to camp, but not as fun in the way that you just kind of find out things are happening and you have to participate and you have to make the best of it, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
For school, so we're having a school-wide assembly the hour before we leave for winter break. So it's a holiday sing-along.
Okay.
And to be inclusive, they're including all of the holidays of the year. I went to the assembly head person and was like, hey, how would you feel if my class came up with a song and a dance and performed it at the holiday
Stop it.
And they were like, are you serious? What, you'll do that? I was like, will I? I
said, Friday skit. Oh my gosh.
Yes, they were like, and everyone's going to participate. I said, have you ever seen the School of Rock? The movie School of Rock.
Yeah.
Everyone has a job. So it's legit, right? Like at school, I'm just carving out a little bit of time
Yeah.
at the end
No.
and beginning of certain subjects to make it happen because it's part of our classroom community. It's bringing the joy back, and we're going to bring the house down.
Yeah.
So I think the best part, this feels very camp-y to me, aside from the singing and actual dancing part, there's an actual skit, right? Is now that I have 11 children that are not dancing, I had to think about what they're going to do. So I'm looking at the lyrics. I'm like, okay, there's going to be two people. You're going to
Yep.
draw a picture of a present. You're going to crisscross and you're going to run across the stage and you're going to hold up a picture of a present. Off you
Yes.
go.
Yes, exactly. You go for the literal meaning. You got it.
Yes. And I said,
Yeah.
you're the Christmas tree. You get to stand on a chair. You're going to have a big poster. You're going to make a Christmas tree. You're going to stand on a chair and you're just going to hold it up and you are the Christmas tree.
Stop. Hey, you could have someone could be the Bose master. Someone just head of AV for that one kid who didn't want to dance initially. What I'm kind of hearing is so you decide so it's 2023 and we've come like so far as a society. We have a long way to go, but
Technologically.
we've come so far in being like, hey, the best practices for everyone to feel included and for everyone to get something out of this is, to be, have like lots of different things to choose from. And we did that every week at camp.
Every
Like,
day.
yeah, like there was a theme, but we're like, go in whatever direction it works for you guys and it'll be great. Like,
Yeah.
how far ahead of the game was camp always? And it makes you think, like, I don't know, TC, we always knew you were the best, but good Lord.
Knew was happening. So this one,
Yeah,
there was a shift in this game at camp. I sort of already told you this a little bit already, but
sure.
I have a development as of today.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
remember how we all used to play killer?
Yeah.
Feels taboo to even say.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so it's now known widely as Sandman, and if they wink at you, then you fall asleep. I was leading an activity and I didn't remember. I was like, I can't call it killer. And I know it's called something new now. I don't remember what it's called, but they fall asleep and they were like, what's the name of the game? Right. They have to know. And I was like, this game is called Secret Winker.
Oh God.
I couldn't think of anything else. I was like, oh. If you say anything in a cool voice, they all get wicked excited.
True.
So
True. Yeah.
they were pumped. So then one of the students was like, isn't this called Sandman? I was like, maybe, but here we call it Secret Winker. Also, not explicitly camp, but a little camp trick when, every now and then something loses its luster. And I was like, who let the dogs out?
Nice.
Woofing.
That's great.
And they have like a couple other fun little things that they do that probably happen at camp now because it's 2023. But
Yeah, because the staff is like so amazing and they know how to do that. I actually can speak to that. So like Quinn was in the Cubs, which of course, as you know, is a troop, not a tribe.
yes.
And she had Caitlin Panciaco, who's unbelievable. And I was just there one day, as I was from time to time, and she was getting them together, ready to go somewhere. And all of a sudden, I just hear her go, "All right, ears up!" And they were all like, "Cubs," and I was like, "Oh, that's a teacher trick. Like you know what you're doing. It's
Yes.
unbelievable." Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I guess most of the tribes have something similar like
Oh,
that, or troops,
so
which
cool.
I know. What a time to be a camper and a
Right?
counselor.
They must
Yeah.
feel so much belonging, like
Oh,
extra, extra, extra belonging of the troop that they're a part of.
yeah. I think there's no doubt about that. So
Most of the things I'm telling you about have to do with music. It's like all extensions from Sing.
yeah, exactly. It all comes from Sing, the glue. Yeah, the glue. Apparently, there are several eras where it was referred to as the heartbeat, but it was always a
Mm.
glue, is what I remember. It's, it's the central artery, if you will. All right. So we're going to pivot. But what I was thinking was like when you think, like when you just close your eyes and picture camp, just the location, like what do you picture? And I was thinking of it in the context of like, if I had to take a picture for someone who hadn't been there in years and years and years, what image would they be like, oh, I know where you are. Like, I know where you are. And that's what like captures it the most for me. So with that in mind, I'm going to give you my first one.
Yeah.
Because I think if it's not at the top of everyone's list, it should be. Now, probably most people don't have this list because
Are you sure?
well, you have it.
It's in
Brittany,
my
you
back
understand.
pocket. It's in
Yeah,
yours.
it's true. But I'm going to say the one that sticks out, if you could choose 50 yards that you had to pick, it's the walk from Sam's office, which for people who don't know is like right behind Sing, like right behind where Tom and Sam would sit. So there's a building there now, Sam's office, past the gazebo, past the bell, just kind of like walking down to, at some point, up to you're either going up to the pool. Yeah, it's up to the pool. I wrote it down right. But it's that like whole walk on that top ridge where it's like the most pure, like iconic images of camp. So you've got you can see everything. So you've got like, you've got theater down out of like the corner of your right eye and boating. And then there's the bridge and then like bells right in front of you. And you see games and the flags of archery and like Tom's old office, the nurse's office, and the pool. And like, you can see like anyone coming up. I feel like 9 times in 10, you're going to run into Tom anyway. Like he's like around there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just feel like I always like, I'd run into him and like see him just like kind of looking out. And you're going to get like a cool, like 2-minute conversation with him. Just like, how's it going? And just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also as you get closer to the pool, that hill part closest to the nurse's office where like, the slip and slide would be sometimes like on a carnival day,
Yes.
or oatmeal when they put it there. I just feel like that if you could only walk 50 yards, like those are the ones I'm taking. I don't know. What do you think about that one?
I like that you said ridge, right? Because it's very like omniscient from that view. You see everyone and everything. It's almost like passing through a hallway, right? Where you just like see all your friends on the way to class. You can see the whole camp. And
Yeah.
what's interesting, and I thought you were going to say this actually, is I feel like the bell tower is the focal point of camp, because obviously you can't see all the way into the woods, but when you think about the bridge, right? Like the bell's really the center. And I had never really thought about it. I never really thought about it before. I don't know. When you're at camp, you're just loving life. You're just doing camp.
Yeah.
Fun. But then when you had me think about walks, I thought, oh wow, that's really intentional that the bell is the center of everything, and it's how we transition. And when Katie Crowley started, I don't know if this is still going on, but like the final bell rang and everyone hugged the bell tower and the whole camp was just sobbing and wouldn't leave camp.
Yeah, I believe it's still a thing. Yes.
Wake me up when September ends. Oh my God. Yeah.
All right.
Powerful.
Give me one of yours.
Okay. The first one that I wrote down immediately when you said, what are your favorite walks at camp? I was thinking, I was thinking a good walk.
Yeah.
And the first thing I thought of was walking to the Lost River.
That's what some of the Katies said.
Yeah.
Lay it on me. Yep.
That was a favorite because, spoiler alert, the Lost River is not lost. Right? But when you were a camper and a counselor was like, do you guys want to go to the Lost River? We were like, yes. You know where the Lost River is? How?
Yeah.
How did you get there?
I feel like the Lost River, like, I'm a little bit older than you, but I feel like it like wasn't a thing for like most of my camp tenure. And then all of a sudden it was like, we're going to the Lost River. It was a huge deal. I didn't know where it was for a long time.
Oh, well, it wasn't lost yet.
I was lost to me.
It was just there. Then it was once it was found, then it was lost again.
Yeah, then it became like people were there all the time. But
so if you start at the bridge, and then I didn't even realize that the trails had names. actually. We were just kind of like, we're going this way. Everybody follow.
Do you know what's funny? I feel like I only knew that Partridge Path had a name. I didn't realize that Tenderfoot Trail was like that main drag in the middle, or
I had no
that,
idea.
yeah. But
Yeah.
so would you go down Tenderfoot Trail or would you take Partridge Path?
Partridge Path, the road less traveled.
Do you remember how narrow that was? It was like Tick City. Like it was barely maintained.
And by distinctly remember the grade of land changing
Mm-hmm.
frequently without warning, and then also the roots of the trees just being wherever they
Yeah.
felt like it.
Yup. That's right. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
like you'd like halfway down, you'd like look over to your right and you're like, oh, there's Woodlore. You're like, okay,
Yeah, we're good, we're good, we're
I'm
good.
close. Yeah.
So I remember it being, then if you go around that way, I remember it being uh well, I was gonna say the Choctaw campsite.
Yeah, it was out past like those two campsites that
Yeah,
were up on the left, one of which
yeah.
was the Navajos. Mine.
So one, I when Scott Howe was head, I he was the head counselor. That was the campsite that we were at. He was in boating at the time, and I was the assistant, and I remember like when the kids were done eating, and we after the cookout, we had a little bit of time. It was like, who wants to go to the Lost River?
Ooh, that's
Because it's
awesome.
here.
That's so cool. Ooh, I think that Scott might have been my neighbor in the because we were the first one on the left, that campsite. And I think he
Mm,
might have been next to us. That sounds like Scott's such a good counselor. That sounds like something he would do.
yeah.
Do you remember when you come off of Partridge Path, like almost like immediately, there was like a plywood like over like must have been like some like whatever wet or river or whatever, but it was called like the witch's coffin or something to that effect. And it was like, and I am a person who is easily scared. So I was like, you're at camp, you're safe. And you're like an adult at this point, but like, be careful. But because we would always walk out there because my campsite was out there.
Yeah.
So you're taking that path almost to the Lost River, but on the way out, you've got 15 kids with you, and you're like, all right, who wants to take a jug of water? Great, we have two. Who wants to take a shovel? Who wants to carry these bags? So I just remember like, well, I'm walking out with nothing in my hands
And
because
watch out for
that's
the witch's
yeah,
coffin.
exactly. Watch out for the witch's coffin or whatever it's called. But you're a narrow partridge path, like, oh, we'll do a tick check when we get there. And then you walking out there and you finally get there. But to your point, and like, and then the path like kind of bends to the right, and you're just like, I know exactly where I am. Like I
Yeah.
know every step of where I am. And yeah, I like that's a good one. And that I kind of took it from you, but that's a great one. I like it.
I'll
It was
allow
yeah, it was on my
it.
list.
I love how you're painting a picture of the walks. But when I was making my list, I realized that what I liked so much about the walks actually was really the destination. Like I very
Not the
specific.
journey.
Well, okay, yes, that's obviously that's the enjoyable part, but like
Sure.
the reason why the walk, the journey was so nice and exciting was because of where you ended up and then what
Sure.
you did there, right? For
Yeah.
example, going from anywhere to the nurse's office because you were going to be in AC, you would
Hmm.
hopefully see your photo on the wall
Yeah.
and maybe get lucky and have a freeze pop. Who knows? Or all three. And also maybe see Tom and get to talk to him.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like a celebrity sighting.
You talking the Trisha Nutting years
Yeah. I don't know
of
what it looks like
nurse?
now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's similar. I think there are fewer freezy pops, but I think going to the
Mhm.
nurse is still a highly coveted walk. Okay. What do you have next?
Okay, well, not in this. I wouldn't necessarily put this as my number two, but
Okay.
because of the Lost River, the second one that I thought of was the blueberry patch slash power lines. I don't even like blueberries,
Ooh,
but I just
yep.
loved
Oh, good
walking
one.
that far. It
Yeah.
felt so coveted and you felt independent. I feel like that one specifically was usually from pioneering.
Ooh.
In fact, actually, oh my gosh, when I was an explorer, there was a new pioneering counselor, a new optimistic pioneering counselor, and they were like, to the edge of the camp map today. And we were like, cool, let's do
Who
it.
who was it?
Dennis.
Oh, yes. Yep. Gotcha.
That's all I remember.
Yep. I know who you're talking about.
He
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
legit too. Like he showed us how to make, he must have been an Eagle Scout or something. Like he did all this
I think
like
so.
intense stuff,
Yeah.
like going to the edge of the camp map because we got out there, we got to the edge and it was somewhere because I thought of this because we went through the blueberry patch and then we just kept going and going and then it started raining, which we kind of knew was going to happen.
Oh no.
We weren't like super prepared. We were in, $2 Old Navy flip-flops. Uh, anyway, so that then we got lost. The whole tribe and the brand new counselor. We didn't find our way back for a while. So now it's raining. We
Oh
had
my
missed
God.
lunch. It was about to be sing. We like we just never came out of the woods.
Oh
And
no.
when I remember being like, I remember this tree, guys. Like I knew where I was going. I was like,
Right. Yeah.
I've been at camp the longest, so I'll lead us back to
Yep.
camp.
That sounds right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
anyway, yeah, we eventually got back to camp, and when we got back, Sue had gone to her house to see if we ended up there
There.
because eventually some of the trails lead to her house.
Yep. Yeah.
Apparently. Um, no, sadly, we did not end up at Sue's house. That would have been wicked cool.
Oh my
They
gosh.
also went to they called the police, obviously. Um, they were debating calling our parents because of how long we were gone for, because it was a very long time. Um, and
Jeez
it's only
Louise.
funny because everyone's okay.
Everyone's fine.
Everyone
Yeah.
made it.
Yeah.
And it's such an exciting memory, right? We were really lost in the woods. We had to sing camp, we sang camp songs, we trudged back. It was so
Yeah.
much fun.
Well, do you know, it's funny because like there have been how many stories told like on this podcast of people getting lost in the woods and like some of them are from like counselors who've been there. Some of them like are new counselors, but I think that probably there are 5 or 6 stories so far about people. Yeah, you take one lost turn, like you don't come back through the blueberry patch through the chain link that says like posted like
Yeah.
private property. You're good luck.
Forget it. You have
Yeah.
no idea where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had people on Pond Street too. Someone was just like up and driving up and down Pond Street in case we just popped out. Uh,
Yep.
but the show must go on, and camp was transitioning to sing.
That's right. Like,
The
we'll look
explorers were missing.
exactly.
Somebody covered whoever's tribe.
Right.
Uh,
We'll look for you, but we've got songs to sing. So good luck. We're gonna take a 30-minute break. All right, that's a good one. My next one I think also is iconic, and it's the very first thing you do to start your day as a counselor, which is you park your car in the staff lot. You get out holding your Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee with 1 metric ton of sugar and cream, and you walk through the grass, which is always dewy. It doesn't matter the time of year. And you walk through it. And I would typically go through the stables and then come out there, the side of the stables where there is that like distinct smell that like I can tell you that smell. I don't know how to describe it, but it smells like the stables, like walking into the stables. And it's just like, I wouldn't like make a candle out of it, but it's like, I love it so much. And then you pop up, you go through junior camp up the hill. And I was typically there pretty early, like 8:30-ish, say hello to whoever's there doing traffic. It was Sue at the time. And then just go like right to your post and like sit there and like sip your iced coffee with and like grind the sugar that's in it. And it was just like always the best way to start the day. It was like so like a rote like memorization, but it was like I couldn't think of a better way to start my camp
Like a
day.
ritual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yes, you had to get there, and it was the best. Okay. In general, I was thinking up to the pool deck for competitions,
yeah.
but specifically, right? Because you could hear the music, the bows from
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah.
But I loved coming basically if you were like at games or archery,
Hmm.
and then you had to go all the way up the stairs and then
Yeah.
up,
Yep.
and then to get into it, it felt like you were part of the competition, like you were
Yeah.
entering the gates.
Oh, yeah. Cause
You're
it's kind
at
of
the
like,
pool deck.
yeah, it's kind of like narrow up those stairs and you're like leading
Mhm.
up. Oh, yeah. That's a great one. And
Yeah.
you like hear the music playing like a couple of minutes before it starts.
Yeah.
And then the bell rings and you're like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. The anticipation.
Yeah.
Right. No, no
Yeah.
running. No running.
Yep. What what are your thoughts on the two bubblers that you pass on the way up there? That one that's on Tom's office and the one at woodworking.
Oh my gosh.
If I had to rank them overall, neither would be number one at camp. That one is, of course, in the back of the pool, like where the like
Shed. Yes.
yeah.
Closest to well, flag.
Yeah, close, yeah, to flag, the gazebo or whatever. But I think the one by woodworking is like last resort.
Mm.
And the one,
Because it was the hottest. The
yeah,
sun would just beat down on it.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was warm. Mm. You would have to
Yeah.
let it run for a little bit, and it didn't really help.
No. It's like, well, it's putting warm water on the ground. Yeah.
Uh,
I think that's a great one. I think that path in general is like kind of overlooked. Because you have to be like going basically to archery or like maybe games if you're coming down. I had that one as like one of my top ones. And
really?
yeah. And I had it though. And I like what you say about a pool competition because there's such a buzz in the air whenever there's a pool competition. Because you're right, you can hear the music and like it feels like the lifeguards are there and they're like getting everything ready, even though they're just like there because they're the lifeguards and like
Because
and
they
then
have to be.
yeah, but like people are sitting around, everyone's coming in and like oh what's up, what are we doing, like there's such a buzz whenever there is a competition at the pool. I think it's awesome.
Something else that in general that I just loved about camp that I think just has helped me for life in
Mhm.
general, right? Is like I feel like the pool is a perfect example where you just sat where you sat, and maybe it was steamy hot concrete and rough, or
Yep.
maybe your whole butt would get soaking wet because somebody just got out of the pool and dripped
Yeah.
everywhere. It
Yeah.
didn't matter. You were just happy wherever you sat, and it was fine, and you dealt with it.
But yeah, and also your counselor is like, sit down. You may not sit on
Yeah, I
any of these
swear to
chairs.
God, if you get up.
I had one that is, so I had that route, but I had it in reverse. Um Getting out of the pool, and it's like specifically like what comes to mind is like, remember when you were an explorer and swim was first thing in the morning?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, side note, they now rotate the schedule. So, week 1 and week 2 are different schedules, which is ingenious. So not like all the explorers or whatever the top tribe is have that, but I just remember um getting out of the pool as an explorer first thing in the morning, and then my favorite counselor, Karen Kraus, was in archery. So I'd get out of the pool quickly and like get changed and get like sit on the like astroturf like changing area outside, and then I'd walk down that route and like go hang at the archery table and just like, oh hey, like it's just I'm a it's just spending my last 5 minutes here. I'm an explorer.
We walk ourselves around camp, it's fine.
Yeah, but it's like always shaded. Like it just feels like a like almost like overlooked route, even though it's not. It's like a main artery, but you don't take it unless you really need to be there.
Remember when, if you got a bullseye, you got a shark tooth?
So
Do you remember that?
so I think, well, as I've said on this pod, I never got a bullseye, so I wouldn't know. But was it a shark tooth or an arrowhead? Because I think that there are,
Oh,
yeah, I think it was probably an arrowhead, but we were all like, oh, it's a shark tooth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes more
Yeah.
sense for it to be an arrowhead.
Right. Yeah. Like fits in more of like the theme. Yeah.
For sure.
And then
But
nuts.
but in my brain, I really think
I know,
no,
but
it must have been an arrowhead. You're right.
that's your 11-year-old brain remembering that, being like, oh, we used to get shark teeth, of
We
course.
got shark teeth.
Like,
If you're good at archery, you earn a shark tooth.
yeah, everyone knows that. Yeah. Duh.
After a while, then we started playing cards at archery, and I cared a lot more about that,
Yeah.
actually.
A lot of cool stuff went down at that archery table.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, did you ever do like, you want me to give you the chills? Right? Yeah. The like,
Okay, wait.
yeah.
They do this on The Office too. Dwight does it to
Yes.
Michael
Yeah, I
Scott.
know. He's
Chuck
going,
an egg
pick an
on your
egg on your
head.
head. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Damn
yeah.
it.
I nearly lost it when I saw that. Yeah. Yeah. Like a
My
lot
gosh.
of stuff went down at that archery table, but you're right. And I think at some point they started like providing like board games or cards. It must, I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
cards.
It's actually remarkable that everybody just kind of hung out before
Yeah.
that people were patient and there weren't more,
Yeah.
behavior, whatever. But that's the thing. We just kept ourselves occupied. I
Occupied.
don't know.
Yeah.
And when there were cards, we didn't even necessarily always play them. It was just there just in case.
Yeah. I remember playing a
Right?
lot of like Spit. Is that a game?
Oh
Spit?
my gosh. Yes.
Crazy Eight. I think that's the game I played
Egyptian
there.
flush was a thing when I was an older camper.
Okay.
Maybe it was just niche to my group.
No, there would be like games like of the year, and you'd like only play them at camp pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
That I don't even I don't remember how to play it, but I remember I loved
It
it.
was amazing. I know. I couldn't tell you how to play it. No idea.
Can,
But I
can
loved
you
it.
Google that? Is that something you can Google?
Oh, I'm pretty sure you could Google it. I wanted to point out a couple of woods routes. So I put up on
Oh.
Instagram, I'm like, oh, like a iconic walk. And I'm happy to say I got comments from both a Rice and a Cowell. So I feel validated.
Ooh.
But John Rice was saying, he's like, pretty much anything in the woods, like when you go, once you get out over the bridge, and you kind of are walking up where it kind of rises, and you can see Woodlore on the left, you can see Pioneering, like that whole walk, like, because like those trails are like so perfectly manicured, and like Gail, because she is Mother Nature, has gone around and picked out all of the poison ivy. So like everything is fine. And then like you once you get past Woodlore and you get to where it like opens up what's now called Pansiaco Pines, which is beautiful. Like the junior campsites were there, and like the pine trees were a little bit more spaced out. And then you keep going, it like bears to the right a little bit down, then you go down the hill, and then you're like, oh, an adventure. Like those woods are awesome. It's a great walk. Doesn't matter where you're going, right? Just the best.
The smell of it, I feel like, is even more so ingrained than the view of it. Obviously, I can picture exactly what you're saying.
Also, there is real energy out there in those woods. I tell you what, it doesn't, that may sound kind of weird or whatever, but you walk out there and you're like, ooh, it's good out here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice.
Not the mosquitoes, but everything else is good.
So many mosquitoes. Like so many mosquitoes. If we're being honest about these walks, so many mosquitoes in the woods.
Okay. Also, this is something in real life that I feel like people don't necessarily know, but I feel like was just totally normal at camp.
Yeah.
Where when you would put bug spray or sunscreen on, we'd be like, okay, starfish, arms and legs out. And you would just like, I don't know, jumping jack it out.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
Honorable mention of the woods, just the taking that sharp right when you get over the bridge past the old like wood mill. So like you walk down that path where Pioneering would be on your left, and then the wood mill, and there's like
you could see boating through there.
Yeah, and that leads to the dam, which is a thing that is different than the Lost River. I used to conflate the two when I had no idea where the Lost River was. I was actually just talking about this with Katie last week. And they were like, how? I don't know. But yeah, that's like, if you had a camp, I remember having a campsite out there one year as a camper.
In the woodshed?
like right past it. And I was
Oh,
like, I feel like this is like the forgotten campsite.
yeah.
Like, because everyone else either goes straight or goes to the left. And here
Yeah.
we are, like on the right. Maybe there were two out there. I can't remember. I'll
Huh.
check the map. Um, so I had that one. And then I just want to run through a couple of honorable mentions I thought of.
Yes.
Okay. So archery, if coming from like archery or games and just going like right over to the boathouse. So like the lower walk kind of where you're at the bottom of that hill, but still like you can see everything. And I felt like I was usually doing that for like if we were going to have like a counselor competition there. And it was just like, all right, meet at the boathouse. And I don't know, it's just is one of those like not everyday walks, but like I remember it.
I was thinking the walk from the woods, and it depends on where your campsite was on Friday,
Mhm.
to theater for skits.
Yeah.
Right? The just like mass exodus from the forest.
Yeah.
And then everyone just coming back together, and having the show get going. That was always so exciting,
Isn't
right?
it was like always weird when you like met up with another tribe coming out of the woods. It was kind
Yeah.
of
Oh, you
like,
guys go here too?
yeah, it was kind of like you knew everyone was there, but you're like, oh, they're the Comanches. Like
Yeah.
it's like we're all going to the same place. Yeah. No,
Love it.
that's a good one. Yeah. Or like if you were just coming over the bridge and like Tom's ringing the bell,
Mm.
or if like you were taking too long and he sent someone out to get you. Yeah.
Then you're gonna sing Gray Squirrel.
That's right. Yeah. I feel like there are a couple of walks that are like never happen unless you have a specific reason for being there. And the
Ugh.
one that is most comes to mind is anywhere on the back of the tent. So not where Tom sits, but that back side of that
Oh,
tent. Like, when do
yes.
you ever walk there? Like ever? Unless
Mm.
maybe you're coming back from flag if you're in junior camp.
There used to be whoever the music counselor was, well, if the music counselor had a tribe or not, that changed, I feel like sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on who it was. Then yeah, because I remember I had a picnic table with a tribe back there when I was a
Behind.
counselor.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
no man's land.
for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like sometimes, not always, but sometimes Hermie would come from there,
Oh, from the
right?
back.
Yeah,
Interesting.
right? Because Hermie couldn't always make the trip
True.
around.
True.
Like,
He already came all the way from China. He's
yeah,
tired. Yeah.
yeah, he's exhausted. Yeah, I feel like obviously they wanted to
Yeah.
make a big deal about seeing him walk through camp, but
Right.
I feel like
Mm.
sometimes and then everyone did like the leg shakes and everything.
Yep.
Excuse me, Hermie did his leg shakes.
Boom. Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like when
Yeah.
there was more dancing involved, he came from that side. Maybe that's just wishful thinking,
No, it would make sense. It's a good
but
staging area because nobody goes there.
no, right,
Um,
right. Literally no one will see it.
yeah, and it's also like, I guess like to kind of extend on it, it's like if you're leaving from the pool area, is typically would be a junior camp, I guess, going the back way. So like through like the posts and stuff, like
Mm.
even if you cut through the tent and then go through like that, like how often do you walk that route between like Gail's office and the junior camp pool, right? Like that's like a never, unless you're in junior camp. I guess you do it every day.
Or if you were doing tie-dye.
Oh, definitely. That's
That's the
right.
only other time I feel like where that spot was really opened up to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, good call. Yeah.
One of my favorite walks was going into the stables and specifically passing junior camp. Whether you were a camper or a counselor, I feel like you just always felt like a rock star. Like everyone knew the younger the youngest campers, right?
Yeah.
And it would it I think that's something that's so special about camp, that, including the youngest ones and forming relationships with them. It's really just because everyone thinks they're so cute.
They're
You just
so
want to be friends
cute.
with them.
They are so
Uh,
cute. Yeah.
so you feel like a rock star walking
Mhm.
through because you know all the little kids.
Yeah.
They come and give you hugs. That's amazing. And honestly, I would hope that I would walk by for junior juice at a
Yep.
very convenient time for junior
Yep.
juice. Do they still
Yeah.
do junior juice?
I
Or they
don't
like
think so.
junior juice?
I
Yeah.
don't think they do it, but there's more of a emphasis on like make sure you pack enough to have a snack in the
Yeah.
afternoon, and that's for everyone, which is
Yeah.
honestly what a good idea. I remember being starving at camp every
Starving.
day.
It's wicked late.
I
By the time,
know.
I mean, camp technically ended by 4, right?
Yeah,
So like post was like 3:30 to 4 or something for pickup,
yeah.
right? Something like that.
Even like by the time it was tribe time, I was like, yeah, I need to eat something.
Yeah.
I'm so hungry. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm
when you
like,
think about it, by that time, like I would have been already home from school and had an afternoon snack.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, I'm like acutely aware of them. Like, yeah, make sure you have enough stuff. Um, and yeah, pretty much any. I think what we've learned, pretty much any route. Like even there's like,
Yeah.
you know what?
Is there a bad route?
No, there isn't because
It
there's like,
can't
I
be.
don't think so because there's just like, oh, we never use that. Like even behind the theater, like when you have a skit or whatever. I remember
Mhm.
being back there and being like, who's ever back here? But it's like a place I'm familiar with. Like if you were walking from
Yeah.
like behind theater to boating, like who takes that route? No one. Maybe Ty. Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm.
But I think so. I think what all of it is probably is that like I don't know. It's just it's the how much we love camp, and this is like the physical like incarnate of that. Just like every place has such a great memory or meaning or a memory or meaning. It's just
Yeah.
like every square inch of that place. It's wild.
So, okay, here's kind of a niche walk. While you're saying that, I'm thinking like, when would I ever be like around the theater there? So, well, actually, we would go to the side of the theater and play killer. So that's one area where it happened. But specifically what I was going to say was we would when Mr. Lemon came,
Oh,
right? At least like when I think of Mr. Lemon, he would just kind of stop mid bend of the road between like the stables and theater.
yeah.
That like a little spot
Yeah.
for noting.
Yep.
Mr.
I wasn't
Lemon.
there for Mr. Lemon, but I've seen pictures.
Uh, I feel like you would have been a watermelon, Mr.
Nah,
Lemon.
I don't like water. I would have been lemon.
Then you would have hated it. Yeah, you would have done lemon then.
I don't like watermelon flavor. Like the candy watermelon. I think it tastes like garbage. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I was lemon. But
Yeah.
also it was just so exciting to be like, can I have one scoop of each? That I just did it anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't even like it, and I would just
Oh.
ask for it. I'd be like, yeah, I'm getting a scoop of watermelon too. I am. Yeah, lemon.
That's very middle school. That's awesome. Yeah. Like, oh, I've got this custom order. It's like way cooler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Custom,
That's
as custom as it came back
yep.
in
One of each. Thank you.
2000. How about going to the stables from anywhere in an emergency, taking cover for rain,
Oh, that's a good
right?
one. That's a
Because
great one.
that's a cool way. I mean, I feel like that's a way that people were creative at camp. It was just
Mm.
like, get to the stables now
Yep.
for
With
cover.
like the assistant or the CIT with all the backpacks in the back of the line. Like just like go. They're carrying like 12 backpacks.
Oh my gosh. Those were honestly, those were some of my favorite times. I loved it was just extra sing. I just loved the rain. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, so this year it rained on the first day and it
Mm.
rained on the last day. And
No.
and it rained like a few days in between. It was like payback for last year where it was 150 degrees and sunny every day. Um,
Well,
yeah,
wasn't this was the 51st year, right? So
correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they made it work. There were no complaints. And on the last day, they had a rave in the stables in the morning. And then
Yeah.
as the weather, so I believe there was a tornado warning in the morning,
Casual,
but
fine.
but and the weather held out a little bit, so they were able to get outside a little bit. And then I guess at closing flag, skies just like opened up, just opened up. And you know how
Naturally.
long, yeah, you know how long that last flag is. So they all got drenched and
Oh.
they went into the tent, and then the rain stopped.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah. But
Uh,
but yeah, so Mike
were there
Cowell,
glow sticks? I feel like we need to back
yes,
up for a second.
yeah. Oh
Did
yeah,
they
they're pictures. Can't
get
believe
out?
Brittany, I can't believe you didn't listen to the week 6 recap.
No, I probably did. And I'm also vaguely remembering Ty's Insta stories and thinking that that
Yeah.
would have been my favorite day of camp ever.
Yeah. It's like a real thing that happened. It's crazy.
That's awesome
Um,
that they thought of that and made the best of it. Something
yeah,
different for the last day, not just like the regular old sing along. No, not that the old sing along isn't amazing, but
yeah, and it is stipulated. But Mike Cowell was saying that one of his walks that he likes is if you're on rain crew at any point, like walking into the stables, like
oh my
giving
God.
Tom a fake name.
Yes. I was gonna ask if that still happens or if that's too taboo now.
You know what? I actually don't know. I don't know. I feel like Sam is like with it, would be like,
Yeah, I could
hey,
probably
that's
figure
from
it
that
out.
show. But it's so funny. Like Sam is probably the same age as Tom was, but like, but
Digital age, Sarah.
I
The
know.
times have changed.
Yeah. But
Uh, and honestly, like some of them were right, Seymour butts or whatever.
yeah,
But my favorite were like when he would call out characters' names from shows. He'd be like Corey
yeah,
Matthews from the Comanches.
yeah,
The walk to the stables for the video on Fridays. I know
yeah.
that's changed. I do listen to the pod and I have heard that that has changed, but that right where you were just like jittery hoping to see if you made it into that week's video.
Right.
And because like all the things that you worked, all the skits you worked on in video didn't necessarily make it.
Right.
So what made the cut?
Yeah. No, that was great. And that's another thing where it's like everyone is coming and it's like
Yeah.
this funnel. Like,
Yes.
yeah. Would you go in side door or go around the
Uh,
back?
straight from the back. Someone lift the garage
Yep.
open.
Yeah,
Go in the
exactly.
back. Yeah.
Nah, back.
So that was one.
I like
Then did they still do Carnival Week?
I do remember Carnival Week though.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say was maybe it was just me, but I loved so let's be honest that Carnival Week, some of the activities were more fun than others. Like
Fair.
some counselors put way more effort and intention into what they were doing, right? Or like how can you do sponge toss versus bounce house? Obviously,
Right. Yeah.
bounce
Tough.
house, right? Like
Yeah.
so anyway, but one of the things that I actually loved just because it was so festive was sometimes they did it well, it was under the totem pole
Yeah.
arch. And it was so simple to get your animal crackers. You had to let a counselor drop a bag of popcorn on your head.
What?
I can, but it stayed in the bag. So it was just in like a sack, and they would just drop it, and you would get hit in the head with a bag of popcorn. But I can vividly remember the scent of the butter, the huge, like I don't even know how we are measuring
Drop a
popcorn,
sack of popcorn.
and
What?
the scent of it just smelled so good, and it was just like it's Carnival Week.
Oh
Give me animal
yeah.
crackers.
And then you're like,
Off you go.
two animal crackers for you on your way. And then like, did you ever get face painting done? That was usually like at the top of the hill, right?
Yeah, by the sponge toss, yeah.
Yes. Yes, of course, of course. Yeah.
Um, no hate for sponge toss. It just,
No, it's a good look. We used to do diving for
fun.
pennies in the shallow end. So sponge toss was like a notch above that. So that's okay.
Wait, do you think so? Because actually, I feel like I loved going for pennies.
Uh, well, it's weird because it was like a pool thing. So if you loved going in the pool, you were like, sure,
Yeah.
I'll do that. I can be in the pool for 2 hours. Perfect. But
Yeah.
very little effort on the counselor's part. So we just
Right.
like sit there,
You
like,
got to work on your tan.
and another walk that would happen during carnival day is would Tom take the kids to the stables? I can't
No.
remember.
So, okay, I remember this vividly. We would be under the tent and he would send counselors off to set up. And
Right.
then it was like an unwritten nod to, at the time, explorers, so the oldest campers, to
Yeah.
step up and like see, because being a CIT became more competitive, more competitive, more competitive.
Right.
And that was like, we're the oldest at camp right now. We're in charge. We need to make this happen. And
Yeah.
I vividly remember it's just like every song and trick in the book doing different things because I was so pumped. And actually, the year that I was an explorer, I remember it was like me, Andrew Bascom. Oh, I'm trying to remember the other people that came up with us. And
Nick Novak, Lauren
probably,
Siegel.
yeah.
Yeah.
And no, but Tom like gave us the nod. He said he acknowledged it and said something about us really stepping up like CITs. And I was like, oh yes.
What's your last walk? I want to make sure we get it in.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, this is so simple. I was gonna say up the hill to sing.
Yeah.
Really anywhere,
That's great.
but specifically in my brain, when I'm thinking about going to sing,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about trudging up the hill,
Yeah. What table are you
clapping,
coming from?
breathless,
What
ready.
table are you coming from in your mind when you're thinking of this
I'm not. I'm just
coming up?
coming up.
The Zoom subscription that I have is the free one, so we can only do 40 minutes at a time. So Brittany and I have been stopping every 40 minutes. That's called working on a budget, people.
This is session 3.
Session 3. Oh, it's going to be sad at the end. Okay.